Good evening. I'm Chanel, Vehicle Title Expert. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and thank you in advance for subscribing. So tonight I will be talking about two issues or two common issues that I see during the mechanic lien process. I file a lot of mechanic liens weekly and just want to talk about this common problem, one for the mechanic, one for the customer, that I see a lot when it comes to the mechanic lien filing process. I want to talk about, what my recommendation or recommendations are when it comes to these two issues and, how these issues can get resolved so that, both the mechanic and the customer can walk away without any problems. Okay, so let me start with the mechanic first. So, you mechanics out there, one of the common issues I see you guys doing is releasing that vehicle to the customer before they finish paying you, or maybe you have worked out some sort of payment plan or agreement with the customer and you release the vehicle under the assumption or impression that the customer is going to pay you. Okay. Now, in the event the customer reneges or they do not pay or comply with the terms or do not want to pay, regarding the terms in question, keep in mind you will not be able to file a mechanic lien or continue with the mechanic lien process if you started because you no longer have the vehicle in your possession. You can only file mechanic liens for vehicles that are in your possession. Keep that in mind. Okay, so at best, in the event you release that vehicle to the customer thinking that they're going to pay you and they choose not to for whatever reason, at best you will have to go to court. And if you have something in writing, hopefully you do, then you will have to sue for damages based on the terms of that agreement and go from there. Okay, so my recommendation, do not release that vehicle to the customer regarding of how long the terms are, and how many installments they may have to pay. Do not release that vehicle until the customer pays you and satisfies the terms in question. Okay. The mechanic storage lien process, one of the things about it is when you're filing, at least you will have the backing of DMV. If you file it properly, you file it legally, you will have the backing of DMV, and the process will not be, that complicated, and you will get, what you're asking for, depending on your state, depending on the value of the vehicle. But if you go to court, it can get a little bit more complicated, and it can take much more, money to put into it. It can also be a longer process. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to you customers, one of the mistakes I see is that in the event you try to work out a plan with the mechanic and you don't want the vehicle, you don't want to be bothered with the process, you offer that mechanic a title. Okay, that is perfectly fine. But what I see happen is you guys are not providing the mechanic a proper title. What do I mean by proper title? Number one, there are times, a lot of times actually, where you are providing a mechanic with a title that has not been transferred already into your name. Maybe you bought the vehicle a few months prior and you never had the time, or you never made it to the DMV to get that title transferred, and you decide to hand the title to the customer, to the mechanic. That's going to be a problem. Okay, because now the mechanic is going to be dealing with a title skipping situation. So I understand you don't want to go to DMV and pay the title, pay the taxes, but it's your responsibility to do so. So make sure you have that title already in your name, okay, before you hand it over to the mechanic. Very important. If not, they can take you to court for providing them with an improper title, because they're going to go to DMV if it's like that, and they're going to get rejected and get turned away. Another thing that I see under the same situation is with that title, sometimes you just hand the title over to the mechanic without signing off as the seller. You want to sign off on that title you are giving the mechanic, assuming the title is already in your name. Okay, so again, make sure you sign off and hand that to the title to the mechanic. If not, the mechanic is still going to have a problem, and then they can look for you. They can go to the courts and also, sue you for providing them with an improper title. And I know you may be wondering, well, don't the mechanic know about the title process? Sometimes they do, sometimes they do not. But regardless, it's going to be your responsibility to provide the mechanic with a proper title. Okay. So if you are a mechanic or if you are a customer and you have found yourself in these situations that I've covered tonight, you want to provide feedback or you need more clarity, feel free to drop me a line below or visit me at wisdomandauthority.com. Thank you for tuning in. Please check me out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Click share and subscribe. I hope to hear from you soon.